Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. Today we're going to ask a question. Will COVID expose zombie businesses in the coffee industry? This is a really interesting subject. The reason this is interesting is because we are more than 12 months into a pandemic, and pre-pandemic, this term zombie businesses, it's a real textbook term, but it wasn't something that was front and center of something that we were considering as an industry before the pandemic. And here's the way that the pandemic has played out for the coffee industry. The pandemic happens, coffee consumption goes up, it shifts, let's put it that way. So people went from consuming coffee in cafes to consuming coffee at home. Because they were consuming coffee at home, it became more affordable, so they drank more of it. Therefore, supermarket coffee went up. And so what we started to see was a shift in consumer habits in the way that they were engaging with coffee products. Now, zombie businesses are businesses that are operating off high revenue but no profit. Or the other thing that can define a zombie business is a company that's operating on high capital but almost no revenue. So the correlation there is that they're not making a profit, and this is for an extended period of time. They call them zombie businesses because they're the walking dead. Anything that exposes or stress tests them will reveal them as zombie businesses. The pandemic is an example of that. So, as we went through the last, I think we're up to 14 or 15 months now, maybe 13 months since the pandemic was officiated. What we started to see was once businesses had been stress tested, the more capital that they had set aside, the more access they had to money, the more they were able to adapt and pivot so that they could buy bulk groceries, so that they could make sure that they were paying their staff even though their revenue wasn't as high. They could keep their businesses moving. Businesses that were zombie businesses at that time, once the stress testing started to happen, they couldn't survive very long. They were exposed to themselves, to other people, it doesn't matter. This is not a shaming episode. Their books were exposed to them. The problem with zombie businesses in the coffee industry is most people are unaware how to read their financial statements, and because of that, they're unaware that they're actually operating a zombie business. Now, there's a way for you to get over this hurdle. We do this with our clients all the time. We make sure that they understand how to read an income statement, profit and loss statement. It's really, really important that you understand how to read where the money is flowing, how it's flowing, and what you're left with at the end of the day. Knowing how to manage your cash flow, which is the number one problem in our industry, is that people think that just because there's a whole ton of money coming through the POS, that there's money to spend, when in actual fact, your operating costs are super, super high in a cafe. So at the beginning of the pandemic, the most obvious of zombie businesses were crushed. Those businesses could only run on fumes for a certain amount of time. Employees were prepared to work for free, purely because they loved the businesses that they were working for, but within time, they were the first to go. As the pandemic has moved on and on and on, you saw businesses that did pivot and did extraordinarily well. They became cash cows during the pandemic. They were able to capture and tap into new consumer behavior and leverage that in their favor. But the businesses that didn't pivot and adapt, what they ended up finding was even though they were doing well, the pandemic ended up wearing away at their cash reserves. It started wearing away and depleting at the strength of the relationships that they had, whereby their suppliers just couldn't extend them any more credit terms. And so what you started to see was these businesses then ended up trending into negative profit, negative net profit. As this goes longer and longer and longer, these businesses will become zombie businesses as well. So, we're in a bit of a pickle, friends. We're not done yet, and we can still see a turn in the way that businesses thrive in the coffee industry if we're prepared to adapt, if we're prepared to listen to what consumers want, and to give them the best quality version of that, and we're prepared to make sure that we don't screw the rest of the supply chain over in the process. I hope this has been helpful. If you need any assistance with what's going on in your business, get in touch and we'll see how we can help. Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day.